Good morning, and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey. I'm Dave Westcott, CEO of TransBlue, and today we are talking about how do you manage risk as an entrepreneur. And I think that this is going to be one of the toughest topics for anybody, no matter where you are as an entrepreneur. The goal of the entrepreneurial journey is to talk about real things, real problems, real solutions, real successes that business owners have. It doesn't matter what kind of business you're in, whether you're in a painting business or a landscaping business or the fruit smoothie business. It doesn't matter. All the challenges are always very similar. And just because you're selling something different or whatnot, it doesn't mean that you don't have risk. And so, as we look at this journey and as we look at being an entrepreneur, I want to take us way back, and I want to take us back maybe 70 years. And I'm going to take us back to a little company called Sears. And everybody has probably heard of Sears today, at least in some fashion. It may not be completely relative for the younger generation, but there still is, some standalone Sears locations across the U.S. And Sears is basically a department store, similar to a Kohl's or similar to a Belk or similar to a JCPenney's, where they sell clothing and they sell washers and they sell TVs and they sell all sorts of different things that you would use in your house. They also provide automotive services like oil changes and tire rotations, so on and so forth. So they're like a Walmart, just not on steroids, right? And so you want to talk about Sears, and we want to take back a long time ago. And as we go back on this journey, Sears was the biggest company in the world at the time, or one of the biggest companies in the world at the time. And everybody looked forward to the Sears catalog. And the Sears catalog was, this catalog that would come out and it would have all of their items in it. And so kids would be looking at that Sears catalog and they'd be thinking about what Christmas presents they want, and they'd be thinking about what birthday presents they want, and they'd be circling and ordering, and they'd be doing that. And, housewives would be looking at, new dishes for the table or whatever it might be. Everything was in that Sears catalog. And at the time, there was this thought that there's no way that Sears will ever fall. Sears is going to be here forever. And today, Sears is but a glimpse on the radar, if you can even find one. There's one close to where I live, and it's like a Sears outlet, way far away, and it doesn't have anything cool in it. And it's this business that was really, really powerful. It was a juggernaut, but it's gone. And let's look at Border Books. If you've ever purchased books along the way, or you've looked at, that Borders Books was a juggernaut of a bookstore. Like, they had these towers that said Border Books, and a lot of people went to Borders Books and they purchased their books. Or maybe you remember Circuit City, right? And Circuit City was another one where you'd go in and you'd buy CDs and stereo equipment and DVDs. And I remember as a kid growing up, like, my first sound system came from Circuit City, right? Good products, because like if Circuit City goes down today, like I still have some Circuit City stuff 30 years later. So, at the end of the day, like, they sold some good products. We look at Kodak Film, right? Kodak Film was one of the biggest companies in the world. And again, today, just a blimp on the radar. Or if you're walking through the mall, remember Hot Dog on a Stick, right? Hot Dog on a Stick is, I can't find one. Maybe there's still one in Vegas somewhere, but we can't find one. Or let's talk about Cachet, the women's clothing store, right? Is a little boutique, and there is, a couple hundred of them spread across the United States in malls. And what happened to Cachet? And Cachet, I want to say relatively in 2017, they filed bankruptcy. Somewhere in there. Maybe it was 18, maybe it was 16, but they filed bankruptcy. Let's talk about the Beautiful Group. The Beautiful Group owned Regis hair salons, right? They own Sports Clips. They own, a few different types of brands in their portfolio. Hair Masters, lots of different concepts for cutting hair they owned. The Beautiful Group was like a master franchise group, and They owned about 458 locations, filed bankruptcy in around 2019. At a time, a huge business. At a time, a juggernaut of a business. Let's talk about the last two as we're hedging benefit, as we're looking at how do we hedge our business? How do we protect our business? What does risk management look like in our business? And to the entrepreneur, I believe that true risk management comes in the form of how quickly you make decisions. Decision making is going to be critical in your risk management outlook. If you get stuck like a deer in the headlights and cannot make decisions quickly, you will quickly evaporate. So Cache, let's talk about them. I was doing all of the HVAC maintenance and repairs for Cache nationwide in every single location. And they were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars every single month. And what happened to them? They stopped paying the bill one month. And then the next month came around, and what happened? They stopped paying the bill. So I got 2 months behind. They got 2 months behind. Then we stopped services, right? You don't know. Well, why is the payment delayed? Why aren't I seeing a payment? What's going on here? Right? You don't know if they've made good payments and then it's delayed. You don't want to burn the relationship with a good client, so you keep on working. At 2 months, we said, we got to hold on services. As soon as we held on services, we got a letter in the mail about 2 weeks later said, hey, Cache is filing bankruptcy. That is a tough thing when that happens. Why? Because now our company is out hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we turn that over to our lawyer. Our lawyer says, okay, you're probably never going to see $1. Wow, that's tough, right? Because now you've got to make your own payroll and you've got to pay your own bills for your building and utilities and your lights and your marketing and your advertising. But now you've got partners in these other areas that also, they're not going to get paid either, right? Because you're not getting paid and they're not getting paid. No one's getting paid because somebody's filing bankruptcy. So you look at hedging your risk, hedging your business. You look at making these choices for risk management. That was a tough situation. We'll come back to it. Now let's look at the Beautiful Group. The Beautiful Group, based out of Southern California, they're looking at reinventing who they are. They're looking at rebuilding their business. They're doing a lot of rebranding. They're doing a lot of putting it together. And we're doing everything for them, right? We're doing plumbing. We're doing HVAC. We're doing dark store work. We're doing remodels. Everything under the sun for them. 50, 60 work orders a day. You can only imagine how many work orders are in a haircutting salon. There's everything that can go wrong will go wrong, especially when there's over 400 of them. What happens? One day we just get a letter, hey, we're filing bankruptcy. You're not going to see any dollars from us. So again, the same thing. It affects payroll, right? It affects the ability to pay bills. And then you've got partners who work in these areas that, one, they aren't getting paid either, right? It's not our fault they went out of business. It's not their fault it went out of business, but it's unfortunate because it happens. So Regal Cinemas contacts us, middle of the pandemic. And we get on a call with Regal and we're looking at their 300 and whatever, approximately 50 locations, 350 movie theater locations. And the first question I ask is, I say, let me see a financial statement. And they said, wait a minute, you want to see our financial statement? And I was like, yeah, I want to make sure that you're financially sound. If we're going to move forward together, like we've moved forward to business, we've moved forward as a company, we've said, hey, listen, this is something that we want to do. Well, what happens? We want to know that you're financially sound. And so, we go through the steps and they say, well, we are financially sound, we're good. And I bring up a few articles online that says, Regal Cinemas on the verge of bankruptcy again, looking to be sold again. And I said, these articles here, can you explain these? Because these don't look like you're financially sound. I don't want to get myself into a position where we're doing hundreds of thousands of dollars of work for you but yet you're not paying the bills, right? Because that's not going to be good for anybody. That's not good for us. That's not good for our partners. That's not good for who we are. And ultimately, they provided me with some financial information, and I was on a call with their team of 14 people, and I said, I don't think that this is a good choice for us today. I don't think that this is a good business relationship for us today. I think there's a little bit too much risk in working with you today. And we ended the call, and they said, well, you could have told us this before we went through. And I said, listen, I've been telling you all along that I've been nervous about your financial cash position. So understanding the cash position of your client is really, really critical when it comes to building a successful business and really managing that risk. Now, I'm going to share with you another story, a recent story, working with a large big box retailer that has to do with home goods like lumber and plants, and working with them. And you go into a relationship with them, and you look at things, and they are right, and they look right, and they look right on the contract. But as you get into the contract, they pull out a line item worth approximately 25% or 20% of the contract value. And their regional managers are telling people all along the way, hey, we're going to pull this, we're going to pull this, we're going to pull this out of the contract. Well, why do they do that? Why do they do that bait and switch? What happens to us, the contractors, when they pull out on us, right? Oh man, they go crazy on us. They put the boots to us. But they pull out on us, and they don't care, right? They treat us bad, they don't care. And so our company made a decision to no longer do business with that big box retailer. We said, no mas, no more. Why? Because of the risk, right? Being a month in or 6 weeks in, right? Working with an unethical company, right, is not something that we want to be doing. And so we look at that company, we say, listen, this is not a good fit for us. Did it take a hit? Yeah. Do we take a financial hit when we do that? Yeah, but we look at the longevity of where we're going and what we're doing, and we know that that doesn't align. So let's go back to Cachet. So a couple of months later, Cachet comes back and they say, hey, listen, we're really struggling, and we're in our chapter 11 or whatever, and we're trying to rebuild, and, we might be able to get our way out of this bankruptcy, but we need some help. And I was like, well, you guys already stiffed us, for the work, right? You already stiffed us like all of this money. And they said, yeah, I know, we're sorry about that. We don't have control over that, but we'd still like you to service our HVAC needs. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to come back to you with a proposal. And the proposal was this: you can send me a work ticket. I will look at the work ticket. I will give you a proposal for the work ticket. And then I'm going to add 10% of your outstanding balance to that work ticket. And every time you do a work ticket, we are going to collect on that outstanding balance. And you're going to pay me up front, overnight cashier's check that I'm going to put in the bank, and it's going to clear, and then I'm going to do the work for you. And they were in a desperate situation. And so what happened was they said, yes, okay, because nobody will work with them, right? Because they just sent out all these bankruptcy notices. So it was a good way, one, to earn money, and two, to recoup some of the loss. Did we recoup it all? No. Did we get that many work orders? No. But we were able to put together a plan that protected the business. So we looked at it from a risk management perspective, right? Just because something went wrong doesn't mean that we can't work together in the future. We just have to set the expectation. We have to set the expectation in a way that makes sense for us. Now, being a general contractor, does it mean that everything's perfect? No. We're going to have our bumps along the road. 99%, I would say 98% of any issue with a subcontractor getting a payment goes back directly to the subcontractor. It always will go back to the work that they performed. Did they sign into the tickets? Did they get the tickets completed? Did they follow the process the way the client had outlined or the way that we had outlined? As we're looking at, what we're building and what we're putting together, managing that risk is so critical. So when I look at risk management, when I look at working with a client, one, I'm going to look at it on the vendor side. So just as an example, I got a note from one of our team members, and they said, hey, we're looking to subcontract 90 locations to one vendor. No, that's all bad, right? That's a disaster waiting to happen, right? That's poor risk management. So what do we have to say? We said, no, 10, 15 locations is enough. We're going to put in the hard work up front. We're not going to be lazy. We're going to get a wide and a deep bench. And when we have that wide and deep bench, and when that's set up, now we're able to be successful. Now we're able to hedge our risk. And we're also able to protect the client. Because if something were to happen on the client side, and we had 90 locations with one contractor, what happens? We're in trouble, right? It's not that big of a deal to fix 10 or 15 sites. It's a huge deal to fix 90 sites. So it's really looking at the business, and it's making choice business decisions, and it's making good business decisions as we grow and as we build and as we put things together. And the truth of the matter is that owner to owner, a lot of your employees are going to be lazy. Not all of them. There's some killers out there, some super hard workers. But what I've found is over the years, if you let a team member take an easy route, they'll take the easy route. Because at the end of the day, we all want to take the easy route. So is it harder to sub out 90 sites, or is it easier to give them to one person? Of course it's easier to give them to one person. But what that does is that puts you in a chokehold situation. Now, let's look at the client side. As you're growing your business and you're building your brand, what do you want to do? You want to be very careful not to have any client be more than 10% of your income. Or you want to use that as a benchmark. If a client starts to exceed that 10% threshold, what happens if they go away? See, if a client goes away and they are 30% of your business or 40% of your business, what happens? You've got to deal with massive layoffs, right? That's no fun for anybody. You've got to sometimes completely rebuild. That's no fun for anybody. So what do we want to do? We want to look and we want to spread the wealth out, right? We want to choose client portfolios that fit directly in our program so that if you lose a key customer or if a key customer goes out to bid, there's no loss to you, right? It's like, okay, no big deal. It's just a quick skip over the problem. It's not a hurdle across a bridge that's broken and you don't know if you're going to make it across, right? It's like Indiana Jones swinging across at 80 years old. Can you believe Indiana Jones is 80 years old in this latest movie? I'm going to tell you, he looks great for being 80, right? But I mean, that's kind of what it's like. Can you grab the whip, get the beam, and swing across at 80? I don't know. It's a risk. I'm going to bet less. I'm going to bet more on the stunt double than I am on old Indy. But when we look at our business, we got to hedge those issues that are coming up. I'm going to share another one with you real quick. Working with a client that I work with has commission-only sales reps. And commission-only sales reps are doing a really, really good job for him in his business. And he's got some issues in his business, but he's working on them, right? And so he's got commission-only sales rep, and this sales rep is selling $1 million months. $1 million sold a month, $1 million sold a month, $1 million sold a month. And that's what we want, right? We want our salespeople to sell high volumes of work. And so we look at that and we say, okay, wow, it really looks like that sales guy is doing a good job. So how does it work? The guy that I'm working with and talking to, he's saying, okay, well, we're going to collect a 50% down payment, and your first portion of your, commission comes when we collect that. And then the final portion of your commission comes once we've been paid. And so, this sales rep, he's, making good money and he's earning good and he's getting the 50% down. He's getting his commission checks on a biweekly basis as they collect money. And, he's struggling with getting the final payments, right? Because some, in construction, jobs can go slow to get finished, or they can take a little bit of time. They come, they get paid. He never doesn't get paid, but they trickle in, and it's slower than what he likes. So this guy that I'm working with, he hires a general manager to come in and run his business. And what he does is he goes on vacation on, let's say it's a Saturday, and the new manager starts on a Monday. Now, this owner doesn't give any time with the new manager, right? He just says, well, he'll get started on his own and he'll get it figured out and he'll meet the team and, we'll get things moving the right way. And so he says, okay, and he does that, right? And he leaves and he's on vacation and he's out of pocket and this new general manager is running his business. Well, what do you think happens when that happens? No introduction, right? No time for training, no time for learning my culture, no time for learning who I am. So this new manager jumps right in, dives into the business and gets things going right away. And he meets with everybody. Well, one of the people he meets with is the sales guy. And he says, hey, listen, this is the revenue I'm bringing in. I'm bringing it in month after month. I'm selling $1 million a month. And, I'm just getting screwed over on my commissions. And so the new general manager takes him at his word and says, well, what's going on? And the sales guy says, I'm going to quit. I'm looking for a new job. And the general manager doing everything he can to think about, what the position he's in and how he's going to rectify this. And he says, well, what would make this better? And he said, well, what would make this better is if I got a salary of $175,000 a year. And so the new general manager looks at it and he looks at the commissions and he looks at what he's bringing in and he's thinking to himself, well, if we pay him $175,000, then we're actually going to be paying out less because we're paying him out more in commissions. So he'd actually be taking a pay cut, but we'd just be guaranteeing the money. So he says, okay, done. We're going to do it. So he puts him on that $175,000 salary. Truth be told, this is the truth. That particular individual is running a very large business, right? $1 million a month is a lot of money, right? We talk on the entrepreneurial journey about what does it take just to make $1 million in a year. This guy's doing $1 million a month. So you got to understand his operation has many, many trucks and many, many employees and many, many team members and many, many staff members. And we look back and we say, my advice is to, move on from this team member. This salary isn't good for you. This salary isn't good for your business, and it's taking away the motivation to sell. So my recommendation, consulting you on this particular issue, is to remove the salesperson. And the owner says, okay, yeah, I hear you. But, I'm not going to do that. I don't think that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to keep him going and he's going to continue to sell. Well, that month is the first month after, and his sales dropped to under $300,000. And the next month is less, $180,000. And that salesman, I don't think, ever closes above $300,000 a month for the next 7 months. Now, when your operation is built on selling $1 million a month and you're closing a third of that, what happens to your cash flow? It's toast, right? It's trashed. So we're talking about risk management. Employees play a lot into that, right? Making sure that the employee is in the right seat, making sure that you put things together in the right way. Now, what this owner did was he gave away too much agency. This guy was a great closer, but without the motivation to close and a comfy salary, what happened? It fell apart. A year later, that owner filed bankruptcy. Business gone. But it was those choices that the owner made along the way. And those choices had a catastrophic impact on how he would run his business and how he would be successful. Very successful business, right? We look at Sears. We look at Circuit City. We look at Borders Books. We look at Blockbuster Video. What choices were made along the way that impacted the brand and created a trickle-down effect so that the brand was not there today? And that's what we're talking about. That's what risk management is. So you're looking at the decisions, and if you're spending too much money, right? If you're spending too much, cut it back. If your payroll is too high, cut it back. If you've got too many, if your customer base isn't diverse enough, diversify it, right? Start working on these things today. Don't let another day go by where you spend money that you don't know of. Know your numbers, know your financials, be involved with your P&L, be involved with your balance sheet. I've been doing this a long time. My business isn't safe today. There is no business that is safe if you take your eye off the ball. Why? Because nobody ever thought Sears would fall. And right now, Amazon is the king of the world, right? But who's going to replace Amazon? What business will come along and replace Amazon? What happens with Walmart, right? Walmart is the, whatever it is now, $500 billion a year company or whatever they are. They're the giant, right? Are they going to be able to keep up? How are they going to manage online deliveries? How are they going to manage online delivery of products and services? How are they going to be a part of the world as it changes? How are they managing their risk? What things are they putting in place? Jim Collins has a great line, and he says, fire bullets, not cannonballs, right? Don't fire everything all at once. Take a few warning shots. See how it works out. Diversify your business. When I started my business, I mowed lawns. That's all I did is mow lawns and rake weeds and that sort of thing, right? Now I install electric vehicle charging stations and I plow snow. So things have changed over the years, right? We've modified, we've adapted, we've improvised, we've overcame. But that comes from trying to be aware of risk. It's not saying that risk doesn't bite me. Look I got bit by the Beautiful Group. I got bit by Cachet, right? That Cachet took years. It took years to repair the damage that was, that was put on us from Cachet, right? And so now what do? We choose our clients very selectively. We try to make sure that our clients are the very best. We'll make the mistake again, right? We can't tell all of the time what happens, but a good note for, controlling business risk is not all business is good business. You want to be selective about your business. You want to work with people who are going to pay the bills. You want to be with the people who are going to pay a fair wage. And when you do that, you're working with businesses that values aligned. The more profitable the business, the better the business. If your client wants you to be profitable, then that's the best person to work for. Why? Because if you're profitable, you're making good money, you can take care of them the way they need to be taken care of, and you're not going out of business. If they just want to lowball you and kick you in the dirt and penalize you all day long, they're not a good partner. It's not a good relationship. They're working to put you out of business for their benefit, for their gain, right? And so we want to look at that, and we want to look at, how we're growing our business and how we're putting our business together. This big box retailer that I was talking of earlier, you can look online and it says X company sucks, and there's tens of thousands of people a part of that Facebook page. And every day there's post after post about how this company is bad. And just recently read an article about their CEO and how their CEO is not maybe a great CEO for what they're doing. So you look at the business and you look at where you're at, no matter how big your business is, no matter how great it is, no matter what you've achieved success-wise, you can always fall. You can always be brought to your knees. And a couple of controversial businesses that have been, hurt. You look at Budweiser, right? Look at the effects on Budweiser with Bud Light. I'm sure that in their marketing program, they didn't think that they were going to lose all that money off of a marketing decision. You look at Target and the backlash that they've faced. You don't think that they were going to lose based on what they're doing, right? They're trying to sell products and make money and be profitable. But people look at things differently. People are going to look at things through their values. They're going to look at things through their purchasing power. They're going to look at things differently. So it doesn't matter how big your business is. One decision can have a catastrophic ripple effect across the entire organization that affects thousands of people. So when you're looking at the risks in your business, it's really, really simple. You want to have an understanding of concern. And it starts with, I'm concerned with the way that this looks. And when you have concern, you now have awareness because you're aware enough to be concerned. And when you're concerned, you can go to your team, you can go to your people, you can go to your leadership, you can go to your spouse, whoever it is, and you can say, I'm concerned. And this is what I'm concerned about. Now you're aware of the issue. And now you decide, what's at play here? What are the variables? And you start to understand the variables. And when you understand the variables, you understand what stakes are at play. And once you understand those variables, now you decide whether you want to have the solution to the problem or you don't. Do I want to put the energy into the problem or do I not? And the line that you take with you is, I'm not emotionally attached to this decision. And you want to keep your emotion out of the decision-making process. You want to make analytical decisions that are emotion-free. And so you say to yourself, I am going to make a non-emotional decision. I am going to make a decision based on the facts and the analytical details in front of me, and I'm going to make the best decision for my family, for my values, for my business, for my life. And when you do that and you operate with that level of concern, you're going to make decisions that are painful. You're going to do things that you don't want to do. But as you do those decisions, it's like pruning a tree. It's like pruning the raspberries. It's like cutting it back, right? If I go in and I let my apple tree grow crazy, it's this mess. The branches are all tangled together. It's just a nightmare, right? It's like a spider web or spaghetti bowl of branches. But if I keep it pruned and clipped and manicured and I remove the dead and the damaged and the decayed, man, I get this beautiful tree that looks amazing, that produces an incredible fruit. And when your business produces fruit, that's called profit. And when you have profit, now you can have the life that you want to live. But if you don't prune, right? If you don't manage the risk, if you don't cut out the bad, you'll never have the good. So as I leave you today, I hope that this was beneficial. I hope this helped. Look at your business. Look at your client spread. How much of each individual piece of your business are your clients a part of? Nobody should be more than 10%, right? Look at what you're spending. Look at your payroll. Look at your financials. And then look at the customers that you're with and assess them by values. And look at your top 25 customers and what do they have all in common? And we all know the clients that we don't want. So look at those and say, listen, as a company, these are the people we don't want to work with. And then you build your business accordingly. And what you'll find is that you have great success and you have a great time and your entrepreneurial journey is everything that you want it to be. And that $1 million goal, that $1 million business is achievable and it's at your front door and it's successful. If you liked this, give it a like, give it a share. If you have any comments, please put them into the comments bar. I'd love to chat with you offline. If you're looking for any consulting work, DM me. I do consulting all of the time, helping businesses grow their brands. Outside of that, follow me on LinkedIn, Dave Westcott. David Westcott. Look for me on LinkedIn. Look for me on Facebook, David Westcott. It was a pleasure hanging out with you today. I hope that this was beneficial. Thank you so much and have a great day.